When it comes to Nintendo's own E3 event, we are less than a week away from critical mass when it comes to the hype. And I know that Nintendo fans the world over, myself included, have very high expectations not only for E3, but specifically Nintendo's show. And when it comes to those specific high expectations, let's not beat around the bush. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Considering that the Nintendo Direct for E3 this year is going to be more than 40 minutes long, along with a 3-hour live Nintendo Treehouse event that follows afterwards, I feel the stars may finally be aligning for the big boy to come on home in the form of Breath of the Wild 2. With that being said, I've got some awesome predictions when it comes to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 and anything else Zelda related, considering that this is the 35th anniversary of the franchise. So if you're ready and as hyped as I am, let's dive directly into the noise. Alright, first things first, we gotta talk about that potential trailer that we could get for Breath of the Wild 2 at E3 showing this year. You know, there's a lot of people that's been saying when it comes to insiders, leakers, and whatnot, that E3 2021, specifically for Nintendo, is going to be a sort of sequel to what we saw in E3 2019, which I believe is one of the most banging E3s for Nintendo in recent years. And of course, E3 2019 is where we got the first Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, or I should say the only Breath of the Wild 2 trailer. Hopefully that'll change with E3 2021. Unlike some other trailers that are deemed to be teasers and only give us a small taste of what is coming or just a logo of a video game, Breath of the Wild 2's trailer gave us a lot to work with in terms of solidifying the game's identity and what it's going to be about. Well, in terms of a base product, it's a sequel to Breath of the Wild. We are going to be returning to the familiar land of Hyrule, albeit with some additional changes and gameplay additions, and our boy Ganondorf is back to raise hell. It was pretty sweet, but considering that it's 2 years later from a Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, I feel the most important thing to showcase is the gameplay, how it's going to evolve, how we're going to adapt this new power that Link is getting into his arm in the familiar world of Hyrule. How are these gameplay additions and changes going to change our approach to this familiar land? Considering that Breath of the Wild came out to an astonishing reception, of course there's other video game developers that try to emulate the style and the magic of Breath of the Wild's open air adventure. Some that are pretty good and some that are, yeah. But considering those other games putting their own spin on the Breath of the Wild open air adventure, I would like to see when Nintendo themselves, the original creator of Breath of the Wild, is gonna put their own spin on something so familiar. So with E3 2019's trailer giving us a really nice cinematic experience, I predict that E3 2021's trailer is going to showcase a lot of what this game could do gameplay and performance wise. And you know, considering that we are going to get a 3-hour Nintendo Treehouse Live after the 40-minute long direct, I'm pretty sure we have a Breath of the Wild 2 gameplay breakdown from Nintendo on the agenda. And when it comes to the gameplay and the identity of Breath of the Wild from what we've seen in the 2019 trailer, I would like all aspects of this dark identity when it comes to Breath of the Wild 2 to be revealed not only in gameplay but in narrative. Since this game has been in development since late 2017 and we got that really juicy trailer in 2019, I feel it's high time to finally learn the name of this Legend of Zelda. Of course, we've been calling it Breath of the Wild 2 for a lack of a better name. It's way better than the time we had to call Breath of the Wild Zelda Wii U. Regardless, I think it's time to finally learn the name of this Legend of Zelda. If it has anything to do with Breath, if it has anything to do with Wild, but it could be a completely different name. I mean, Majora's Mask was a sequel to Ocarina of Time. And with a revelation like that, I feel that a trailer ending with a release year would be the best way in order to really bank on all the hype that Nintendo knows is building going into E3 2021. I mean, considering a lot of strategies that Nintendo has employed when it comes to revealing a game, showing off a game, and then having a game's release date in tow, I feel that learning the true release year of Breath of the Wild 2, if it shows up at E3 this year, is not out of the question. I mean, we know that Splatoon 3 is set for 2022, along with that of Pokemon Legends Arceus. And with their recent strategies when it comes to Nintendo Switch games, revealing a release date or a year could be around the corner of when the game actually has to drop. They've done it with Smash, Splatoon 2, Super Mario Odyssey, Age of Calamity, so on and so forth. And then that begs the question if Breath of the Wild 2 is truly going to be slated for 2021 or 2022. But if I want to be hopeful, you know, with the Zelda 35th anniversary being this year, it could be possible that the big holiday release of this year, besides that of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes, is going to be Breath of the Wild 2. And that gears off over into the idea of truly setting up the 35th anniversary celebration of The Legend of Zelda this year. You know, the only thing that we got that kind of set off the celebration of Zelda's 35th anniversary is the reveal of Skyward Sword HD, which I'm sure is going to make an appearance at E3 this year, hopefully with showcasing some new stuff. And you can bet that there's going to be a gameplay segment in the Treehouse Live. But other than that, I feel there's going to be a very dedicated segment within that of the Nintendo Direct that's going to showcase all things Zelda, their plans for the 35th anniversary, and either starting off with Breath of the Wild 2 or ending off with Breath of the Wild 2. You know, I feel it's really a coin flip between starting off with a banger or leaving the best for last. And when we dive down into it with all the leaks and rumors about how Nintendo could approach the 35th anniversary this year, with the ideas of Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD coming to the Nintendo Switch, I would definitely be down for that, but I don't know if Nintendo truly wants to try and cannibalize the hype and sales of Skyward Sword HD, specifically when it comes to these HD re-releases. Maybe spread them apart, release them at a discount from what they released on the Wii U, but I feel considering this is Nintendo, that would indeed be wishful thinking. Whatever the case is, I think that Nintendo's going to have a lot on their plate when it comes to the 35th anniversary, what they could entail inside and outside of games, and of course, having the crown jewel be Breath of the Wild 2. And in that case, I want to see if Nintendo's going to have a possible roadmap involved when it comes to their E3 presentation. And when I mean roadmap, I mean a Zelda roadmap. I mean, it could be specific to Breath of the Wild 2, but I mean, this is the 35th anniversary we are talking about. This roadmap can entail specific releases, when we can expect more information and news when it comes to certain games, and of course, a full blood when it comes to promotional assets of the game. I want to see new art from Breath of the Wild 2 with Link, Zelda, Ganondorf, the hand, the world, the possible floating Hyrule Castle, and of course, possible nice juicy key art, like we did see in E3 2016 with Breath of the Wild. You know, the one with Link climbing the side of a mountain with a big expansive Hyrule. Maybe it could show Link and Zelda traveling underground with a giant underground crevice. The Legend of Zelda Secrets of the Deep. And in any case, I feel this might be asking a little too much, but maybe we could see box art. And you know, of course, that logo. And when dialing down from the announcement that could be at hand for Breath of the Wild 2, I honestly think it's going to be the last thing at the show. So when we're streaming our reaction live, don't freak out if we don't see Breath of the Wild 2 for a good chunk of the show. I really do believe it's going to be the last thing. And with that in mind, I feel it's going to spill directly into the Nintendo Treehouse by being the first thing we see at the Nintendo Treehouse Live, in which those from Nintendo Treehouse are going to play the game, break down specific characters, maybe even tell us what's been going on between Breath of the Wild 1 and 2 in terms of time, what Link and Zelda's been doing, why Zelda cut her hair, etc, etc. And of course, giving us small teasers and tastes of the story and what we can expect from it in Breath of the Wild 2, possibly talking about the mysteries of Ganondorf, what this arm is about, how it communicates with Link, and of course talking about how the world has changed and how it will be possible to access these crevices that could be under the ground of Hyrule. All of this sounds so exciting to me, and I hope you guys are ready for the show at Nintendo's E3. Of course, we've got more predictions in tow and a lot more videos lined up for you since I am now playing with ultimate power. As this is a Nintendo show, we can expect other things such as Super Smash Bros. And of course, a lot of new stuff. At this point, the only things I can really think off the top of my head that I think may be there for a fact is Smash, possibly Splatoon 3, and Breath of the Wild 2. We're in for a lot of unknown surprises, but when it comes to the surprises, I want to be surprised and blown away with what Breath of the Wild 2 can show us with the revelations that's been 2 years in the making. I hope that got you pumped, and I hope that got you hyped. Whatever Breath of the Wild 2 can show us, you already know I'm gonna have a bunch of breakdowns, theories, and everything in between. So if you're into that, you better hit that like, share, and most probably subscribe to HMK and hit that bell to know when these Zelda videos go live. They do every week. It helps out the channel a lot, and what also helps are my Patreon supporters who help make this video happen. If you want to find out how you can support HMK for just $1 a month, check out my info in the description box below. Alright guys, until the next video, until E3, until The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, and when we finally get to name it something differently, this has been HMK, and I'll check you guys later.